Chapter 4070. Of course it's limited to divine emperors. Divine emperors aren't too high or too low, and they have the most numbers. It'll be more intense when they fight. What do you think? The more feminine Lord of Heaven said. No, I don't think it's appropriate. I think we should limit the age. How about this? Let's have those under 50,000 years old fight. The Demon Lord said. Under 50,000 years old? The feminine Lord of Heaven's expression darkened. He shook his head. I think it's better to have Divine Emperor Juniors fight. He knew that there were several young 9th-level Divine Emperors in South Sky City who were extremely powerful. If they were allowed to fight, their chances of victory would be higher. However, the demons clearly disagreed. This was because, among the Abyss Devils participating in this expedition, they knew of a young prodigy with terrifying combat strength. Therefore, they insisted on setting the age to be under 50,000 years old. The two sides couldn't come to an agreement. How about this? We'll draw lots, and whichever side we draw will decide. What do you think? The more feminine Lord of Heaven said in the end. He had no other choice but to take this compromise. That's more like it. The 6 demon lords nodded. There was naturally no cheating involved in the drawing of lots for people like them. Everything was arranged appropriately. When the drawing of lots ended, the 6 divine lords of the heavenly palace didn't look too good. They'd failed in the drawing. The demons would decide on the conditions. Ha, then we'll do it our way. 3 days later, the youngsters under 50,000 years old will fight. Both sides will set up an environment and let them fight inside. Whichever side is completely wiped out or surrenders will lose and withdraw from the contest for the great tomb of heaven and earth. A demon lord laughed loudly. At this point, the heavenly palace's divine master had no choice but to agree. They all swore on their life essence that the loser would never participate in the contest for the great tomb of heaven and earth. Even if they were divine lords or demon lords, they would still be restricted by their life essence and wouldn't dare violate their oath. Unless they were old antiques who transcended the master level, invincible existences. After the two sides finished discussing the details, their figures flashed and disappeared into the dark void. Nantien City. News quickly spread from Nantien City, shocking everyone. Everyone now knew why the master-level existences would engage in such an intense battle. It was because of the great tomb of heaven and earth. It was rumored that endless years ago, so long ago that the exact number of years was unknown. At that time, there was an invincible existence in the heavenly palace who fought against an existence of the same level as the Abyss Devils. In the end, both sides fell. When both sides were about to die, they were sealed in different places. That place was the great tomb of heaven and earth. The inheritances and treasures left behind by such existences were truly too shocking. Even if it was a master-level figure, they would be unable to resist the temptation and would be extremely moved, wanting to investigate to the end. The master-level characters of both sides fought a great battle, but the victor was still undecided. In the end, everything was decided on the younger generation. Both sides sent out the younger generation below 50,000 years old to fight. They entered a special place and began a life-and-death battle. When one side was completely annihilated, or when 80% of the people on one side admitted defeat, that side would be considered to have lost. The other side would win. Hearing this news, the faces of all those under 50,000 years old changed. Needless to say, this battle would be exceptionally cruel. Only when one side was completely annihilated would it be considered a loss. In other words, this was a battle to the death. One side had to be completely annihilated. It was possible to admit defeat, but only if more than 80% of the remaining people on one side agreed. One person or several people were not allowed to admit defeat. If the heavenly palace was defeated, all those who participated in the battle would be in great danger. How could this not cause everyone's expressions to change drastically? Soon, everyone received the news and gathered at an empty section of the city wall. Soon, the heavenly soldiers gathered at an empty section of the city wall. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A few figures suddenly appeared in the sky. These figures were divine generals and heavenly officials. Leading them was the divine general of the celestial race. The divine general of the celestial race swept his gaze over everyone like lightning. A moment later, a door of light flew out and towered between the heavens and the earth, becoming incomparably large. This is the door of light used to test one's age. Everyone, pass through this door, starting from the left. The divine general of the celestial race said. Some people's expressions were somewhat ugly. They knew that this was a test of age. Anyone under 50,000 years old would probably have to fight. However, no one dared to disobey the order. Swish, 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 starting from the left, a large number of heavenly soldiers flew into the door of light. The door of light was extremely large and could accommodate at least a few thousand people. Most of the heavenly soldiers flew through the door of light, but a portion of them were blocked by a mysterious force. The divine general of the celestial race swept his gaze over those who were blocked and smiled. Very good. Those of you who did not pass through the door of light and are under 50,000 years old, stay. Those of you who passed through the door of light, go back and return to the area where you were originally stationed. Yes. Those who passed through the door of light were all over 50,000 years old and left one after another. Those who were under 50,000 years old stayed behind. Heavenly soldiers constantly flew forward, and people were constantly blocked by the door of light. Of course, those who were blocked were in the minority. Soon, it was Lu Ming's turn. Lu Ming, Dandan, and Ling Yue flew towards the door of light. When Lu Ming approached the door of light, he was blocked by a force. This force was vast, mighty, and incomparably condensed. Lu Ming could not rush through at all, and he knew that it was impossible for him to do so. This was most likely the power of a divine master. He discovered that Ling Yue had also been blocked, but to his surprise, Dandan had passed through the door of light. Lu Ming thought about it and understood. That was because Dandan was over 50,000 years old. Back in the primordial realm, Dandan was born from an egg. He was not truly born, but only reborn from nirvana. He was seriously injured and turned into an egg. The most important thing was to heal his injuries. Although his body had been reborn, his soul was one of the 10 strongest war beasts in the primordial realm. He had lived for a long time and was definitely over 50,000 years old. Lu Ming, you guys have to be careful. I won't be able to accompany you. Dandan transmitted his voice to Lu Ming, his eyes filled with worry. Don't worry, don't you understand me? How could anything happen to me? It's those demons who are in trouble. Lu Ming replied with a smile. Those who pass through the door of light, return to your respective city walls. Those who don't, stay. The voice of the celestial race's divine general sounded again. Dandan could only follow the crowd and leave. Chapter 4071. Not long after, everyone was checked. In the end, about 3,000 people stayed. There were at least 1 million heavenly soldiers, but only 3,000 were left. That was not a high ratio. Most importantly, there were too few people who could reach the divine emperor realm and become heavenly soldiers under the age of 50,000. Those who could achieve that at that age were undoubtedly geniuses among geniuses. 3,000 of them stayed. I believe you already know the general situation, but I still need to tell you the details. This battle was decided by the Lord Heaven and the Demon Lord. Both sides will send their prodigies under the age of 50,000 to enter a special place to fight. The conditions for victory are to kill all the opponents or make more than 80% of the opponents admit defeat. However, it's almost impossible to make more than 80% of the opponents admit defeat because everyone is scattered. It's very difficult to make more than 80% of the opponents admit defeat at the same time. Therefore, the only way to win is to kill all the opponent. The divine general of the heavenly human race said. Many people's expressions became even more unsightly. They could only win by killing all the opponents. It was the same for the demons. They could only win by killing all the opponents. Needless to say, it would be an extremely tragic battle. They would fight to the death. Divine General, I've been feeling a little unwell recently. Can I withdraw? Me too. I'm at the critical moment of my breakthrough. I'm afraid I can't perform perfectly. Many people spoke and wanted to withdraw. You want to withdraw? Sure, go talk to the Lord Heaven. The divine general of the heavenly human race said coldly. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Those who spoke had ugly expressions. What a joke. Go to the Lord Heaven. This was an order from the Lord Heaven. Going to the Lord Heaven was courting death. Moreover, with their status, would they be able to see the Lord Heaven? Alright, I'll emphasize again. This is an order from the Lord Heaven. It must be carried out. The divine general of the heavenly human race said. What's there to be afraid of? Let's do it. This is exactly what I want. I'm looking forward to it. Ha ha ha. A coarse voice sounded. Many people glared at this person. Lu Ming also looked at this person, revealing a faint smile. The person who spoke was none other than the battle god of the Battle Saint tribe, Yuan Wen. Battle god Yuan Wen ignored the gazes around him. His eyes were full of fighting spirit. Beside him, the geniuses of the Battle Saint tribe all revealed an intense battle intent. The Battle Saint tribe was the most warlike tribe. Battle blood flowed in their bones. Sometimes, they would even place battle before their lives. This kind of dangerous battle was what they wanted the most. They were all looking forward to it. These battle maniacs. Many people despised him in their hearts. Sir Divine General, may I know where the battle will take place? Are there any other rules? Another person asked. Right now, the Lord Heaven and the Lord God are working with the demon lords to arrange the specific scenes. In 2 days, I will tell you the details. You can wait here for now. Those who are injured or not in peak condition, take advantage of the time now to recover. You only have 3 days. The divine general of the celestial tribe said. After speaking, he left this place. The 3,000 people who were going to participate in the battle either had heavy thoughts in their hearts, sat down cross-legged, or chatted in groups of 2 or 3. Very quickly, 2 days passed. In the sky, a light flashed. The divine general of the celestial tribe reappeared. Many people immediately turned their gazes to this divine general. The specific scenes and rules are already out. Take a look. The divine general of the celestial tribe waved his hand and an image appeared in the sky. In the image, there were 12 figures standing in the sky of a certain dark universe. These 12 figures were clearly divided into 2 camps. However, they were all shrouded in a hazy light and their appearances couldn't be seen clearly. However, everyone knew that these 12 figures were the lords of the heavenly palace and the demon lords. Rumble tilde suddenly, a lord-level figure from the celestial palace and the demons made a move. The 2 of them joined hands and clawed at the ground, causing the ground to shake violently. Countless rocks rose up from the ground and condensed into a sphere in the air. This sphere was like a planet. Then, the lords of both sides discussed for a while and set up the sphere. At this point, the image disappeared. The place where you are going to fight is this sphere that you see. This sphere was jointly created by the Lord Heaven and the Demon Lord. It is extremely huge and is no smaller than a planet. Moreover, the lords of both sides have set up restrictions on it. Once you enter, you can't rely on external objects. You can't rely on any external objects. You can only rely on your own strength. The divine general of the celestial tribe said. What? The scene was in an uproar. In particular, some of the top monsters had ugly expressions. In the battlefield, all external objects couldn't be used. These top Evilders were all in possession of great killing weapons. Originally, the great killing weapons were their trump cards, which gave them a lot of confidence. But now, these killing weapons couldn't be used. Their combat strength would plummet. Lu Ming and Ling Yue were the same. Their expressions were somewhat ugly. However, those geniuses who didn't have great killing weapons heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. The Heavenly Palace had top monsters who could control great killing weapons that far exceeded their own strength. How could the demons not have them? If they encountered such demons, they would be at a disadvantage. Now, although the people of the Heavenly Palace couldn't use it, the demons couldn't use it either. This was good news for them. The specific rules are about the same as before. It's still to kill the other party or make more than 80% of the other party admit defeat. Only then will it be considered a victory. In addition, a few variables have been added. The lords of both sides have added 2 lands of fortune. One for the demons and one for the heavenly palace. At the same time, the demons have set up some restrictions on the heavenly palace's land of fortune, and the heavenly palace has also set up some restrictions on the demon's side. When one side is at a disadvantage, as long as they find the corresponding land of fortune, they might be able to turn the tables. The heavenly human race's divine general explained. Everyone nodded and silently thought in their hearts, digesting this clue. There was no doubt that this was an important clue. In the battleground between the 2 sides, the important figures of both sides had each set up a land of fortune. Obviously, they were all useful to their own side and could turn the tables at the critical moment. As long as they could find this land of fortune that was useful to their own side, their chances of surviving this battle would greatly increase. Chapter 4072. While everyone was thinking about the so-called land of creation, some of their expressions changed. Because they remembered what the divine general had said. The master of the other side had set up a trap in the other side's land of creation. That was a trap set up by a master. Wouldn't they be dead if they went in? The divine general of the heavenly human tribe seemed to have seen through everyone's thoughts. He continued to explain, "Don't worry. The trap set up by the masters of both sides won't be too strong. The masters of both sides have already checked it. Although it's a challenge for you, it's not impossible. Otherwise, this land of creation would be meaningless. Also, the most important clue is how to find the land of creation of both sides. Actually, both sides have maps of their lands of creation. However, the maps have been sealed in a common place by the masters of both sides. After you enter, both sides will fight. When the number of casualties reaches a certain standard, the place where the map is sealed will appear." Everyone silently memorized these clues. This battle will probably be very cruel. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. Especially the place where the map was sealed. It would only appear after a certain number of casualties on both sides. Moreover, when it appeared, there would definitely be a fierce battle between both sides. Because if one side didn't fight for it, the other side might get the map to the land of creation. They might even take away the other side's map. If the other side obtained the land of creation and turned the situation around, the other side would be in danger. This was a battle of life and death. One could only imagine how intense it would be. Also, take these demon-fixing pearls. Each of you will have one. The divine general of the heavenly human tribe waved his hand. Black origin pearls the size of longans flew out to Lu Ming and the others. There was one for each of them. Lu Ming reached out to take it. Among the demons, there are some top demons who can awaken the so-called primogenitor bloodline and take human form. The demonic chi in their bodies is hidden very deeply. With your cultivation, it's difficult to sense it. However, with these demon-fixing pearls, as long as they are within a certain distance of you, the demon-fixing pearls will react. The divine general of the heavenly human tribe said. These words reminded Lu Ming of 8 Snake Mountain Range's demon prince Samoras. Samoras had taken human form, but even he hadn't been able to sense it. In the end, it had been Bone Devil who had sensed it. If there were many such demons among the demons, it would be very dangerous. However, the big shots of the heavenly palace were very thoughtful. Don't worry. Even though we can't use external objects in here, the demon-fixing orb has no other use other than the demon-fixing orb's ability to sense the presence of demons. It can still be used. Alright, I've said everything that needs to be said. Once the battle begins, everything will depend on you. There's still 1 day left. Come with us. After the celestial general finished speaking, he headed outside. A group of other celestial generals and heavenly officials followed him. Lu Ming and the 3,000 or so people followed. Soon, they left Nantian City. Not long after, they saw a round ball floating in the air. This round ball was the one created by the masters of both sides. At that time, it didn't seem that big in the image. But now that they were closer, they realized that the round ball was really huge. It was completely condensed from rocks and was no smaller than a planet. Below the ground, they could see a huge pit that was incomparably deep. They didn't see the masters of both sides, but Lu Ming knew that the masters of both sides were definitely there. In fact, The masters of both sides were indeed there. They were just above them, watching them. It was just that they were very far away and had restrained their auras. Lu Ming and the others couldn't detect them at all. When they arrived, they found that the demons had also arrived on the other side. A large group of young demons, led by some demon emperor demons, came to the other side of the round ball. There are so many demons. Lu Ming and the others looked at the demons and found that there were nearly 4,000 young demons. There were about 1,000 more than the heavenly palace. This made many people's hearts sink. This time, there was no limit to the number of people participating in the battle. It only required those under 50,000 years old. As long as they met this condition, they could participate. They didn't expect that there would be so many demons who met the conditions. Naturally, there were more people from the heavenly palace who met the conditions. However, some of them were in other places and were very far away. They couldn't make it in just a few days. Moreover, there were also a large number of prodigies from the other 4 heavenly palace. However, there was nothing they could do if they couldn't make it. The people from the heavenly palace are here. Ha ha ha, I heard that they are all geniuses from the heavenly palace. I love eating geniuses from the heavenly palace the most. Eating them will definitely increase my strength and speed up my evolution. Ha ha ha, I'm looking forward to it. Those demon prodigies looked at the heavenly palace and laughed. Most of the demons revealed a ferocious murderous intent. They weren't afraid at all. Instead, they were full of anticipation. On the heavenly palace's side, some of the young prodigies didn't look good. They really wanted to withdraw. However, at this point, they could only brace themselves. The Lord of Heaven had ordered that if they withdrew, only death would await them. They might even implicate their families behind them. They might as well fight it out and have a chance of survival. Everyone is here. Let's begin. A majestic voice came from high up in the sky. All of you, set off. Remember, you must win. If you win this time, the Lord of Heaven will reward you handsomely. The heavenly human tribe's divine general shouted. Swoosh, swoosh. At this time, the young demons on the demon side had already rushed toward the ball. The heavenly palace's prodigies also rushed toward the ball. The ball was too big. It was like a planet. Let's call it the temporary planet. Both sides added up to only about 7,000 people. When thrown into a huge planet, it was really like a speck of dust. Lu Ming and Ling Yue mixed in the crowd and also rushed toward the temporary planet. When he got close to the temporary planet, he suddenly felt a powerful force pulling him toward the temporary planet. With a swoosh, Lu Ming rushed into the temporary planet and landed in a place. He realized that Ling Yue, who was originally standing beside him, had completely flown in another direction and disappeared from his sight. Everyone was scattered. As for Qiu Qiu, he was over 50,000 years old. When he first discovered Qiu Qiu on that planet, he was already born, so he didn't come in. Lu Ming let Qiu Qiu follow Dandan first. Bang! Lu Ming landed on a huge rock, crushing the rock and sending gravel flying everywhere. After stabilizing his body, Lu Ming began to look around. Chapter 4073. Lu Ming looked around. In all directions, all he could see were uneven rocks. Some of them were only a few meters tall, while some of them were millions of feet tall. He couldn't see the end of it. There seems to be a strong pressure on this planet, causing the speed of those who are inside to slow down a lot. Lu Ming immediately sensed that something was wrong. He felt that he was under pressure all the time, causing his speed to slow down a lot. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch. In front of him, a mountain peak that was 100,000 feet tall exploded. Sure enough, this planet was refined by a master-level figure. It's extraordinary, Lu Ming whispered. In the chaotic universe, a single punch from him was enough to destroy a planet. However, here, he only destroyed 100,000 feet tall mountain. The destructive power had been weakened countless times. In fact, it wasn't that his destructive power had weakened, but that the rocks here had been refined and were very hard. Thinking about it, it was normal. This time, the participants of the battle were all geniuses above the divine emperor realm. Any one of them could easily destroy a planet. Although this planet was huge, it was still not enough in front of so many experts. It would be destroyed in a few moves, which was not conducive to the battle between the two sides. However, after being refined by the masters of both sides and laid down restrictions, it was different. They could fight to their heart's content and would not destroy this planet. Moreover, their speed was greatly suppressed. They couldn't fly all over the world in an instant. Let's try the Gale Pearl. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He began to try the Gale Pearl and other divine weapons. The result was self-evident. He couldn't control them at all. It was as if he was in a forbidden weapon domain and was isolated. The Gale Pearl, the mysterious ice rod, and some other low-level divine weapons were all restricted. Even the Dream Divine Jade and the Sound Transmission Jade Talisman couldn't be used. Fortunately, I'm prepared. Lu Ming nodded and put away these divine weapons. Then, with a wave of his hand, he carved a special mark on the ground. This was a mark that he and Ling Yue had discussed beforehand. They had to meet up first. If the two of them worked together, it would be relatively safer. Then, Lu Ming flew in the direction where Ling Yue might have fallen. Danger. Lu Ming had only flown a few tens of thousands of li when he sensed danger. His figure came to a stop and backed off rapidly. Whoosh! A saber light slashed in front of him, creating a terrifying crack in the space. Then, a gust of wind blew from the ground as a figure rushed up. This was a demon. Its entire body was black and covered with black scales. There were also bone spurs on its body, making it look extremely ferocious. That demon had the strength of the third godly Emperor Leia. Lu Ming looked calm. A demon of the third godly Emperor Leia was nothing in his eyes. Brat, it's your bad luck to have met me. He, I will enjoy you well and turn you into my strength, the Abyss Devil said ferociously. Your cultivation seems to be lower than mine. Are you so confident that you can take me down? Lu Ming couldn't help but ask. Ha ha ha, a real genius fighting strength isn't determined by cultivation level. Fighting above one's level is a common thing for me. Even if you're a genius, it's still the same. Die. The demon laughed wildly. As soon as he finished speaking, the demon's saber in his hand slashed towards Lu Ming. As soon as he attacked, Lu Ming could roughly estimate the demon's fighting strength. It was about the sixth godly Emperor Leia. Third godly Emperor Leia, able to fight above 3 levels. In the primitive universe, he was definitely a top genius. No wonder he was so confident. Even if Lu Ming's cultivation level was 1 level higher than his, he wasn't afraid. He had some capital. Unfortunately, he had met Lu Ming. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and grabbed the demon's saber. The demon's saber stopped in the air, unable to slash down. The demon's eyes opened wide. He couldn't believe it. He was talking arrogantly, but he didn't dare underestimate Lu Ming. He had used his full strength in that attack. He hadn't thought that Lu Ming would be able to grab his saber so casually. Break! The demon prodigy hollered. Demonic aura erupted in full force, wanting to split Lu Ming's palm apart. Unfortunately, it didn't move. The demon's saber in Lu Ming's hand seemed to be oppressed by stars. It couldn't move. That's all you've got? Said Lu Ming disdainfully. Die! The demon prodigy roared furiously. The bone spurs on his body left his body and shot toward Lu Ming. They were extremely powerful. However, Lu Ming reached out with his other hand and there seemed to be shadows of hands in the air. The next moment, the shadows of hands disappeared and Lu Ming grabbed all the bone spurs in his hands. How is this possible? The demon's eyes widened. He was completely dumbfounded. Lu Ming's strength was too terrifying. Even if he was a level higher than him, he shouldn't be this strong. In front of Lu Ming, he was as weak as a baby. I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming's hand moved. The bone spear in his hand flew out and pierced through the demon's head. The demon directly died. Demon spirit blood, take it. Lu Ming grasped. The demon's demon spirit blood flew into Lu Ming's hand. This drop of demon spirit blood was sparkling and translucent, emitting a dazzling radiance. Not bad. Lu Ming revealed a look of anticipation. This was the demon spirit blood of a demon genius. Its potential was limitless. The amount of merit points it could be exchanged for was absolutely astonishing. He clearly remembered that the demon spirit blood of demon Prince Samoras had been exchanged for around 60,000 merit points. That demon was able to fight someone 3 levels above him in the Divine Emperor realm. Even if he couldn't compare to Samoras, the difference wouldn't be too great. Lu Ming estimated that 20 to 30,000 merit points wouldn't be a problem. The demon spirit blood of a demon genius was worth several tens of thousands of merit points. This was a great harvest. The battle with the evil demons this time was both a crisis and an opportunity. It had to be known that nearly all the demon geniuses participating in this battle were demon geniuses. If he could hunt down enough demon spirit blood, how many merit points would it be worth? After collecting the demon spirit blood in a jade bottle, Lu Ming's figure flashed and he left. After flying for some distance, Lu Ming heard a miserable scream. Up ahead, a genius from the heavenly palace had been killed by 2 demons. One of the demons was still holding the bloody heart of that genius from the heavenly palace. It was chewing on it with relish. As soon as Lu Ming approached, the 2 demons discovered Lu Ming. As soon as they saw Lu Ming, their expressions changed and they quickly retreated. Chapter 4074. When the 2 fiends saw Lu Ming, they retreated. They were both at the second godly emperor layer. Even though they were geniuses, they were still 2 godly emperor layers away from Lu Ming. They didn't feel confident at all. You want to leave? Lu Ming had no intention of letting the other party off. Putting aside the fact that both parties would fight to the death, even if that was not the case, the other party's demon spirit blood was worth a lot of merit points. Lu Ming used the greater divine wind technique and moved like the wind. With a swoosh, he chased after the 2 fiends. In the blink of an eye, the distance between them was shortened. Slash. The 2 fiends attacked with their full strength, each slashing out with a demonic blade. However, Lu Ming easily blocked them. Then, 2 fists shot out, piercing through the air and hitting the 2 fiends. The 2 fiends' bodies shattered inch by inch. They had been hit by the greater divine wind technique. In a flash, the 2 fiends' corpses disappeared. 2 drops of fiend spirit blood flew out and Lu Ming put them away. Not bad. Lu Ming nodded in satisfaction. These were all abyssal geniuses with great potential. The amount of merit points they could exchange for would definitely not be small. The more, the better. Swoosh. Lu Ming's figure flickered and he left, looking for fiends to kill. However, Lu Ming didn't encounter a single fiend for the next hour or so. This was normal. This temporary planet was very large, and both sides only had about 7,000 people. They were scattered all over the planet, and it wasn't easy to meet someone. But Zhao Hai didn't know that Zhao Hai and Zhao Hai were on the same planet. Furthermore, their speed was greatly suppressed here. Their flying speed was very slow, and it was much more difficult to meet other people. Lu Ming was very calm. He continued flying. Every once in a while, he would choose a conspicuous location and make a mark. That way, Ling Yue would know which direction he was going. After a while, Lu Ming's eyes flashed. In front of him, a young man was standing on a protruding rock. This young man looked like a human. He wore a long black robe and stood against the wind. He was very handsome. When he saw Lu Ming, he stepped into the air and headed straight for Lu Ming. "Devil," Lu Ming muttered. A round pearl appeared in his hand. It was the demon fixing pearl. At this moment, the demon fixing orb was flickering with light. The demon fixing orb's reaction meant that the other party was a demon. However, Lu Ming didn't sense any demonic aura from this person. That made Lu Ming think of the 8 Snake Demon Kingdom's Prince Samoros. This was a person who had awakened the bloodline of the demon progenitor. The black-robed youth stopped when he saw the demon-fixing pearl in Lu Ming's hand. He sneered, "Is this your so-called demon-fixing pearl? So what if you have discovered me? You are still going to die." Whoosh. As soon as the black-robed young man's voice fell, his body was filled with a strong devil chi. His figure was like a bolt of lightning as he rushed towards Lu Ming. "Evil demon fire!" shouted the black-robed young man. Flames emerged from his body and turned into an ugly monster. It looked like a snake, but it wasn't a snake. It looked like a tiger, but it wasn't a tiger. It moved towards Lu Ming to kill him. Before it even reached him, Lu Ming could already sense a scorching qi and a disgusting odor. Not only was the fire hot, but it was also extremely poisonous. Boom! Lu Ming struck with his palm and cast the Great Divine Wind technique. A gust of wind swept out and blocked the monster that was condensed from flames. Let's see how many you can block. 10,000 demon slaughter, shouted the black-robed young man furiously. His demon qi boiled and a dozen monsters condensed. They all rushed towards Lu Ming from different directions. Actually, this demon wasn't bad. He had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer and had awakened the bloodline of the demon progenitor. He wasn't any weaker than Samoro's. Ordinary cultivators of the seventh godly emperor layer would be killed by him. But his opponent was Lu Ming. Lu Ming also had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer. At the same level, there was a huge difference between Lu Ming and the black-robed young man. Is that all you've got? With your potential, you should be worth 60,000 merit points. I'll take you. Lu Ming's cold voice sounded. Following which, Lu Ming's palm shook and a terrifying force erupted in all directions. Those monsters that were condensed from flames instantly exploded and dissipated. A terrifying strength bombarded the black-robed young man. He gave a horrible shriek and his bones broke. He was propelled backwards. Your fighting strength, shouted the black-robed young man. The demonic youth roared in disbelief. He was at the same level as Lu Ming, but Lu Ming had crushed him. He knew he had encountered a peerless genius from the heavenly palace. He wanted to run away, but it was too late. Lu Ming's figure flashed past and the young man's body was torn into pieces. He died on the spot. When Lu Ming's figure reappeared, there was already a drop of demon spirit blood in his hand. That drop of demon blood isn't any weaker than the prince of the snake demon kingdom. It should be worth 60,000 merit point, thought Lu Ming, smiling. After encountering so many waves of demon geniuses, Lu Ming felt a lot more relaxed. He judged that the cultivation of the two sides in this battle, whether it was the demons or the heavenly palace, would not be too high or too exaggerated. After all, the people who were participating this time were all under 50,000 years old. 50,000 years was like the blink of an eye for a godly emperor. Not to mention godly emperors. Some people could meditate in seclusion for more than 50,000 years. Very few people could break through to the godly emperor layer within 50,000 years. Not only did it require incredible talent, but it also required a huge amount of resources. In fact, the people from the heavenly palace who were qualified to participate this time were all from the top clans. Most of them were from the top 10 clans. A few of them were from the top 100 clans. There were some clans from the bottom 100 clans, but they were too few. The higher the rank of the primitive era's 10,000 clans, the more talented the clans were. Another reason was that they had more resources. That was why they could reach such a high cultivation level within 50,000 years. But after all, they hadn't lived for 50,000 years. No matter how talented they were, no matter how many resources they had, their cultivation levels wouldn't be too high. Lu Ming thought that there shouldn't be any great supreme gods among the people who were participating this time. Maybe there weren't even any cultivators above the seventh godly emperor layer. Therefore, Lu Ming was a little more confident. After putting away the evil demon spirit blood, Lu Ming left the place and continued to hunt for evil demons. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. During this time, Lu Ming also met other people from the heavenly palace. Some people from the heavenly palace invited Lu Ming to join forces with them, but Lu Ming refused. It was because their cultivation levels were too low. Lu Ming didn't like them. If they wanted to join forces, they should at least be on the same level. At the very least, the difference between them shouldn't be too big. They should be helpful to Lu Ming. If they couldn't help Lu Ming, they might even be a burden to Lu Ming. Why would Lu Ming want to join forces with them? Chapter 4075. During this period, Lu Ming encountered a total of 18 demon prodigies. All of them were killed by Lu Ming. None of them were Lu Ming's match. They were all killed by Lu Ming, and he obtained 18 drops of demon spirit blood. On that day, Lu Ming was flying when he suddenly heard rumbling sounds. There was a great battle ahead. Lu Ming didn't hesitate and immediately flew over. After a short time, Lu Ming finally saw what was happening. There was a canyon in front of him. A great battle was happening at the entrance of the canyon. There were 5 young men in the canyon. They all looked different. They were from different clans in the Heavenly Palace. Outside of the canyon, there was a group of 7 young geniuses. They were surrounding the canyon and attacking unceasingly. The 5 young men from the Heavenly Palace were relying on the canyon to defend themselves. They would be defeated sooner or later. The strongest one has the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer. Lu Ming's eyes twinkled. He could already sense that the strongest one had the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer. Therefore, he didn't hide his chi and directly flew over. Lu Ming's arrival immediately alerted the people from the Heavenly Palace and the demons. They used their spiritual awareness to scan Lu Ming. It's the people from the Heavenly Palace. At the beginning, when the people from the Heavenly Palace saw that Lu Ming was also from the Heavenly Palace, they were overjoyed. However, when they saw that Lu Ming was alone and only had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, they were disappointed. Lu Ming alone was of no use at all. It was difficult for him to turn the tables. How could he save them? On the other hand, the demons looked relaxed. Ha ha ha. Another guy from the Heavenly Palace is here. Perfect. He's going to be our food. This time, we're going to eat to our heart's content. The 7 young geniuses burst into laughter. However, they couldn't laugh anymore because when he saw them, he didn't run away. On the contrary, he continued running towards them. He wasn't stupid, he was strong. Those who could reach the Divine Emperor realm before 50,000 years old were definitely not stupid. That person has the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, he's not weak. You block the people in the gorge and leave the little boy to me, said the young genius of the 5th godly emperor layer. With that, the demonic wings on his back flapped, and he turned into a gust of wind as he charged towards Lu Ming. Swoosh swoosh, the fiend's claws continued to claw at Lu Ming. Its power was astonishing. Each claw was sharper than a divine weapon. Can you fight across 3 levels? Finally, I've met someone decent. Lu Ming was overjoyed instead of shocked. There were very few people who could fight across 3 levels. Among the 18 evil demons he had killed, only 3 had such a talent. Now, it was the 4th. Boom. Lu Ming punched out, colliding with the fiend's palm. A heaven-shaking explosion erupted, and the fiend was sent flying, several of his claws broken. What a powerful physical body. These fiends' cultivation methods are strange. A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. Fiends' cultivation methods were completely different from those in the primitive universe. Most of the Abyss Devils had extremely powerful physical bodies. They could use special methods to strengthen their physical bodies. Their physical bodies were constantly changing and evolving. The more bizarre a fiend was, the more terrifying it was. Most of the young geniuses among fiends were like that. There was another kind of fiend who had awakened their ancestral bloodline. Usually, fiends who had awakened their ancestral bloodline would become terrifyingly strong. Most of the young geniuses Lu Ming had encountered had done that. Of course, those who had awakened their ancestral bloodline were extremely rare. Among the 18 demons Lu Ming had killed, only 1 had awakened their ancestral bloodline. So strong. That young genius was astonished. In one move, he was actually sent flying by Lu Ming. He was a monster who could fight across 3 levels. Could Lu Ming be able to fight across 4 levels? Kill. As long as I kill this kid and eat him, my talent will be even stronger. The fiend roared as his body continued to swell. Bones began to extend from the tips of his fingers. These bones were like bone blades, incomparably sharp. Each finger was like a bone knife. Swish. 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 The fiend attacked Lu Ming in a frenzy. His fingers kept clawing out, trying to tear Lu Ming apart. Battle formula. Lu Ming's heart stirred, and the battle formula was successfully activated. Lu Ming did not activate the battle formula when he attacked just now. Otherwise, he could have killed his opponent in an instant. But now, Lu Ming had activated the battle formula to increase his fighting strength by 6 times. Lu Ming had also practiced the battle formula in the Fortune Tower. With the help of the primordial godly sound, Lu Ming's fighting strength had increased by 6 times. Now, he had a 100% chance of successfully activating the battle formula. After activating the battle formula, Lu Ming's fighting strength increased dramatically. Boom! He threw a punch and the air shook. Lu Ming's fist collided with the other party's sharp claws. Catcher, catcher! The other party's sharp claws exploded in an instant. The terrifying fist force continued to bombard the body of the evil demon. The evil demon's body was directly torn into pieces. Lu Ming rushed over and grabbed the evil demon's spirit blood in his hands. This, in the distance, the geniuses on both sides of the canyon were astonished. The fiend with the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer was the strongest of the 7. They had not thought that Lu Ming would be able to defeat him so easily. At that moment, the geniuses on both sides had a 180-degree change in mood. The Heavenly Palace's geniuses were overjoyed, while the fiends were shocked. Retreat! Let's go! The remaining 6 fiends were very straightforward. They immediately retreated, wanting to escape. The strongest among them had been defeated by Lu Ming in a few moves. If they went up against him, they would only die. They did not dare to stay. Don't let them escape. Die! In the canyon, the 5 Heavenly Palace's geniuses roared and charged out. Their morale was at its peak. However, Lu Ming was the fastest. After using the Great Godly Wind technique, his speed was astonishing. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had already caught up with the 6 fiends. The 6 fiends were shocked. Seeing that they could not escape, they could only turn around and attack Lu Ming with all their strength. Great Demon Sword technique. Lu Ming's mind shook. A pitch-black demon sword appeared between his fingers. A total of 6 swords. The 6 devil swords flashed, and the 6 devil geniuses stiffened. Then, a bloody mark appeared on their foreheads. The bloody mark grew larger and more obvious until finally, with a popping sound, they were split in half. They no longer had the slightest bit of aura. Lu Ming grabbed the air with his palm and the 6 drops of demonic spirit blood landed in his hands. That way, Lu Ming had obtained 25 drops of fiend spirit blood. Lu Ming estimated that 25 drops of fiend spirit blood could be exchanged for at least 200,000 merit points. Chapter 4076. Not every abyssal prodigy was worth so many merit points. There were also differences in strength and potential among the demon prodigies. Some demon prodigies were only better than others of the same level. Some could fight across 1 level, while some could fight across 2 levels. Among the demon prodigies that Lu Ming had killed, some were only better than others of the same level. Some could only fight across 1 level. The merit points that could be exchanged for these demon prodigies were very limited. That's it. What strength! The 5 Heavenly Palace prodigies also stopped and looked surprised. Especially when they saw that Lu Ming had obtained 7 drops of demon spirit blood. They were envious and jealous. Some of them even wanted to snatch the blood. However, when they thought of Lu Ming's strength, they felt a chill in their hearts. Who would dare to have any ideas about Lu Ming? Brother, how about we work together? Yeah, we'll have a higher chance of killing the demon together, 2 Heavenly Palace prodigies said. Lu Ming was very strong. If they could work together with Lu Ming, they would have a higher chance of survival in this dangerous battle. At the critical moment, they could even push Lu Ming out as a shield. Lu Ming smiled faintly. How could he not know what these people were thinking? Not interested. Lu Ming said faintly and turned to leave. Hey, you have some strength. Not bad, not bad. I like it. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. As soon as the voice fell, a figure suddenly appeared in the sky. It was the figure of a demon. This demon was covered in green scales. His body was very strong, but very well proportioned. He didn't look clumsy. The most eye-catching thing was the horn on his head. It was like a green scimitar that pierced through the sky. This was the first time they had seen a demon with a horn on his head. His eyes were filled with a fiery radiance as he stared at Lu Ming. Lu Ming also looked at this demon and narrowed his eyes slightly. Instinctively, Lu Ming felt that this demon was very powerful. It made him feel as though he was facing a strong enemy. The 5 geniuses from the heavenly palace narrowed their eyes and retreated slowly. They wanted to leave this place and this demon. Since I've already met you, how dare you try to leave? I'll take care of you little fishes first. Before he finished speaking, the horned demon's figure had already disappeared. Lu Ming only saw a flash of a green blade. In the next moment, a series of screams could be heard from the 5 heavenly palace geniuses. After a breath of time, there was a flash of light, and the figure of the single horned demon reappeared. However, the heads of the 5 heavenly palace prodigies were all pierced, and there was a clear hole in their heads. The taste is not bad. Unfortunately, it's not hot enough. The unicorn demon smacked his lips, and from his fangs, one could see a mass of white paste. It was clearly brain matter. The brains of the 5 heavenly palace geniuses had been hollowed out by the unicorn demon. Smacking his lips, the unicorn demon looked at Lu Ming with anticipation. Your strength is not bad. It must be even more delicious. Hey, your demon spirit blood is not bad either. I'll take it. Lu Ming said indifferently. His body was covered in light, and forbidden energy covered his entire body. Hey, you want to kill me? You have guts. Unfortunately, your cultivation is still too low. Kill. As the word kill fell, the unicorn demon's figure disappeared again. This time, Lu Ming clearly saw how the other party attacked. With the horn as the core, the other party's entire body seemed to have turned into a divine blade, piercing towards Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. The horn on the unicorn demon's head was like a sharp blade that could split the heavens and earth. The terrifying power made Lu Ming not dare to be careless. Great demon sword technique, slash. Lu Ming clenched his fist and a demon sword appeared. Lu Ming held the sword with both hands and slashed out. That sword accurately cut the unicorn demon's horn. Dong. The sound of metal clashing rang out. An invisible force erupted from the place where the two of them collided. It swept out in all directions. Everywhere it passed, the huge rocks were continuously blasted apart and turned into ashes. Swoosh, swoosh. 2 silhouettes moved back rapidly. It was Lu Ming and the unicorn demon. They both moved back 100 li at the same time and stood in the air, facing each other. How strong. This guy is only a godly emperor layer cultivator, and he can fight opponents 4 levels higher than him. Lu Ming frowned slightly, but there was a flash of excitement in his eyes. The unicorn demon had the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer, but he was terrifyingly strong. He could fight opponents 4 levels higher than him. He could fight against cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer. He was as strong as a cultivator on the universe's young geniuses list. It was the first time Lu Ming had encountered such a strong unicorn demon. In fact, it was the first time Lu Ming had encountered such a strong unicorn demon since he had started hunting demons. Such a strong unicorn demon had unlimited potential. The amount of spirit blood he could exchange for was astonishing. Lu Ming was astonished, but the unicorn demon was even more astonished. Lu Ming was surprisingly able to fight against him. Lu Ming's cultivation level was 1 level lower than his. Didn't that mean that Lu Ming could fight opponents who were 5 levels higher than him? Such a monster was rare even in the evil demon race. Now, he had actually encountered one. Very good, very good. I'll kill him and eat him. It'll definitely help me evolve. Die. The unicorn demon looked even more ferocious. Demon chi kept exploding out of his body. His horn was flickering with a strange light, and then it grew longer and longer. It was several times longer than before. Swish. The single-horned demon once again used its horn as the tip. Like a poisonous dragon, it charged toward Lu Ming at a faster speed than before. Lu Ming wasn't afraid at all. He brandished his demon sword. Clang. The two of them collided again. Their bodies shook, and they retreated. However, after retreating, they charged at each other again. Clang, clang, clang. The two of them were extremely fast. They kept colliding. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than a dozen moves. To be honest, the single-horned young man's combat strength was really strong. That horn was extremely terrifying. Even divine weapons would be cut apart by it. If he used his full strength, ordinary cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer would be killed in a prolonged battle. There weren't many people in the primitive universe who were younger than 50,000 years old. But that was it. He was unlucky to have encountered Lu Ming. It seems like that's your limit. Unfortunately, it's not my limit, Lu Ming muttered. With a loud bang, a stronger force erupted from his body. Dazzling lights emerged from Lu Ming's body. That was the result of all his secret techniques. All the secret skills were activated and combined with the taboo power and the primordial secret skill. Lu Ming's combat ability was raised to the peak. Chapter 4077. When Lu Ming raised his battle strength to the peak, he could kill enemies 5.5 realms above him. Bang! Lu Ming seemed to have turned into a beam of light, rushing forward and colliding with the one-horned fiend youth. A loud explosion resounded, followed by a figure frantically retreating. This retreating figure was naturally the one-horned fiend youth. He retreated several hundred li, his tall and sturdy body trembling incessantly. He spurted out a mouthful of blood, disbelief in his eyes. Catcher. Following that, his horn emitted a sound similar to that of porcelain shattering. A few cracks appeared on it. How is this possible? The one-horned fiend youth was extremely shocked. The cultivation of fiends was different from that of the primitive universe. They didn't have any origin divine power or origin secret arts. His horn was something that came with a heavenly god and had been continuously refined. It possessed boundless power and was incomparably tough. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's attack had caused cracks to appear on it. Moreover, Lu Ming's cultivation was one realm lower than his, something he had never encountered before. Kill. A cold voice resounded. Lu Ming didn't want to give him a chance to catch his breath. He crossed several hundred li in an instant, arriving in front of the one-horned fiend youth and launching an all-out attack. The one-horned fiend youth resisted with all his strength, but in the divine emperor realm, a difference of half a realm in battle strength would result in a crushing situation. Every time the two collided, the one-horned fiend youth's body would be pushed back, spurting out blood from his mouth. The injuries on his body would also worsen. In an instant, the two had exchanged 10 moves. Suddenly, the one-horned fiend youth let out a blood-curdling scream. The horn on his head was covered with several dozen cracks, and finally, it exploded with a bang, turning into fragments. With his most important horn shattered, the one-horned fiend youth was like a deflated balloon, deflating in an instant. His aura rapidly weakened, and his battle strength was also greatly reduced. Be on your way. Lu Ming's indifferent voice resounded. His palm was like a blade, chopping down. Blood splattered everywhere, and the one-horned fiend youth's head flew high into the air, directly falling to the ground. Lu Ming's palm reached out, grabbing the fiend spirit blood of this fiend. Buzz. The evil demon's evil demon spirit blood was trembling non-stop, emitting rich energy fluctuations. Of all the Abyss Devil spirit blood Lu Ming had obtained, this drop of Abyss Devil spirit blood was the most special and eye-catching. Its quality was even higher than that of a god emperor's demon spirit blood. Lu Ming's heart was burning. This drop of abyssal spirit blood could be exchanged for an absolutely astonishing amount of merit points. This demon's potential was too shocking. He was able to fight someone who was 4 levels above him in the godly emperor realm. In the primitive universe, this demon was comparable to a candidate on the universe genius list. Given enough time, this kind of monster would definitely become an overlord of the universe, a powerhouse whose name would shake the world. Of course, such great potential was valuable. Lu Ming hoped to fight such a demon. Of course, it would be best if the other party's cultivation base was not too high. Lu Ming, who had the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer, could handle such a genius. If a cultivator of the 6th godly emperor layer came, Lu Ming would have no choice but to run for his life. Lu Ming put the evil demon spirit blood away and walked over to the 5 geniuses from the heavenly palace. He waved his hand and took their interspatial rings. Then, he began to inspect them. After a short while, Lu Ming looked disappointed. There were a few drops of evil demon spirit blood in their interspatial rings, but the quality was very poor. Obviously, the demons they had killed were not very strong. However, it was better than nothing. Lu Ming didn't hesitate to put them all away. After that, Lu Ming left. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. During these days, Lu Ming noticed a strange phenomenon. He rarely encountered demons or people from the heavenly palace. That's strange. Could it be that neither side is in this area? Or are they hiding? Lu Ming murmured in his heart. Unable to figure it out, Lu Ming was too lazy to pay attention to it. He continued to fly in the direction that Ling Yue might be. The smell of blood. Suddenly, Lu Ming smelled a strong smell of blood coming from a direction. Lu Ming's eyes moved. He withdrew his aura and landed on the ground. Then, he walked along the ground in that direction. Not long after, Lu Ming found a corpse. It was a white jade divine elephant. Obviously, it was a genius from the primitive universe. The white jade divine elephant had died very miserably. There were 5 holes in its head. Lu Ming knew at a glance that it had been pierced by the sharp claws of the evil demon. However, the smell of blood that Lu Ming smelled was definitely not from this white jade divine elephant. It was too strong. Lu Ming continued forward and found a few more corpses. These corpses were not only from the primitive universe, but also from the evil demon. Lu Ming checked and found that the evil demon's spirit blood in the evil demon's corpse had been taken away. Lu Ming continued to move forward, and found more and more corpses. After a while, Lu Ming found no less than 50 corpses. There were both from the heavenly palace and the evil demons. The ground was also full of potholes. It was obvious that a fierce battle had taken place here. Other than these corpses, there was no one alive. Lu Ming was very surprised. He didn't expect that so many evil demons and the geniuses of the heavenly palace would gather here and have a fierce battle. There's a trail of blood extending to the west. Lu Ming revealed a thoughtful expression. After pondering for a moment, he headed west. After traveling for about a few thousand miles, Lu Ming's eyes suddenly flashed. He looked in a certain direction. His body was wrapped in divine wind. This was the sign of using the great divine wind technique. He was ready to fight at any time. In that direction, multicolored light flickered, and then a dozen figures appeared. People from the heavenly palace. Upon seeing these people, Lu Ming relaxed a little. Because these people were all from the heavenly palace. The people from the heavenly palace also saw Lu Ming. You are Mu Yun. Among them, a muscular young man clad in battle armor spoke. He recognized Lu Ming. So it's a brother from the Battle Saint tribe. Lu Ming nodded to this young man. After that, he glanced at the others. He was somewhat curious because these people came from different races. Not all of them were from the Battle Saint tribe. Other than the Battle Saint tribe, there were also the Buddha race, Blood race, Soul race, Devil race, etc. Mu Yun, you can't continue forward. If you continue forward, you will enter the territory of the evil demons. That young man from the Battle Saint tribe said. The territory of the evil demons is in front. Is there a division of territory here? Lu Ming was even more astonished. That's right. In the region ahead, a large number of evil demons are gathered. As for the geniuses of our heavenly palace, they are gathered in the eastern region. The supreme genius of the Buddha race, Luo Tian, is the leader. It's very dangerous for you to move alone. Why don't you join us? Only by gathering together can we fight against the evil demons. Because, in the region ahead, there's also a Devil King level character. The young man from the Battle Saint tribe spoke. A Devil King level character? Lu Ming was even more astonished. Chapter 4078. Why don't you come with us? We can talk as we walk. The young man from the Battle Saint tribe spoke. Lu Ming fell silent for a moment before he nodded in agreement. From what the young man from the Battle Saint tribe said, there were many geniuses from the Heavenly Palace gathered in the eastern region. Maybe, Ling Yue was there as well. In addition, Lu Ming was also very curious and wanted to clarify things. Lu Ming followed the 10+ people and headed east. On the way, the young man from the Battle Saint tribe also told Lu Ming everything. The demons and the geniuses from the Heavenly Palace all split up after they entered this temporary planet. After that, they went to various corners of the planet. At the start, it was very chaotic as they hunted each other. However, among these geniuses, there were both strong and weak ones. In the nearby vast region, a genius from the demons appeared. His strength was extremely shocking and he slaughtered the geniuses from the Heavenly Palace as if he was taking something out of his pocket. No one could defeat him. At the start, the Heavenly Palace lost a large number of geniuses. This genius from the demons was known as the king of this region. The king of geniuses in this region was lofty and lofty. At the end, an extremely terrifying demon-level genius from the Heavenly Palace also appeared and fought against the genius from the demons, ending in a draw. That demon-level genius from the Heavenly Palace was none other than a young genius from the Buddha race. From then on, the geniuses of the Heavenly Palaces in this region all gathered around the young genius from the Buddha race, with him as their leader. Because in this region, other than him, there was no one else who could contend against that devil genius. And the demons in this region naturally gathered around that terrifying devil as well. Just like this, the two kings of this region started to fight against each other. For the past few days, the two sides have been fighting each other almost every day. The two regional kings have also fought each other every day. For the past 6 days, the two regional kings have been fighting to a draw. As for the others, many of them have died. The young man from the Battle Saint tribe explained. Lu Ming thought of the many corpses he saw before. There were corpses from both the demons and the Heavenly Palace. Now that he thought about it, both sides must have gone through a great battle and suffered losses. How's the battle strength of the two regional kings? Lu Ming asked. He was more concerned about this. Those who could become regional kings were obviously at the pinnacle of the participants this time. Compared to such figures, one would know what level one was at among the participants this time. The Demon Clan and the Heavenly Palace's kings have the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer, but they're both peerless geniuses. Luo Tian from the Buddha clan is one of the candidates for the universe's Young Geniuses list. The young man from the Battle Saint tribe explained as reverence could be seen in his eyes. So this is the standard. A strange look appeared in Lu Ming's eyes. Was this the strength of a regional king? He had just killed a genius of this level not long ago. That single-horned demon youth was an existence of this level. It seems like my strength is at the peak of the participants this time around. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Not long after, Lu Ming and the others arrived at a strange area. This area was filled with protruding rocks that were incomparably sharp. They were like divine swords. On each protruding rock, there was a young man. Some of them were sitting cross-legged, while others were gazing into the distance. This was the place where the geniuses from the Heavenly Palace gathered. Lu Ming swept his gaze across and discovered that there were close to 100 geniuses from the Heavenly Palace gathered here. On the tallest rock over there is the peerless genius from the Buddha clan, Luo Tian. The young man from the Battle Saint tribe pointed at the tallest rock. Lu Ming looked over and indeed saw a young man sitting cross-legged on that rock. He was bald and his skin was golden. There was also a Buddhist halo above his head. This was a pure member of the Buddha clan. This was the peerless genius of the Buddha clan, Luo Tian. At this moment, Luo Tian's eyes were closed. He looked dignified and his entire body was enveloped in Buddhist light. He seemed to be circulating his energy and adjusting his breathing. Lu Ming took a few glances and then shifted his gaze away to look for Ling Yue. Unfortunately, Ling Yue was not among these people. Obviously, Ling Yue was not in this area. I hope nothing happens to her. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. Although he and Ling Yue knew each other and had an inexplicable engagement, the two of them had been together for so long and had experienced many things together. At this moment, Lu Ming could not help but worry about Ling Yue's safety. However, Ling Yue was very strong. Her cultivation was already at the peak of the 4th level of the God Emperor realm. She could break through to the 5th level of the God Emperor realm at any time. Moreover, Ling Yue's combat strength was extremely strong. After obtaining the opportunity from the Holy Seed Mother Tree, she had achieved a transformation. If they fought at the same level, ordinary candidates of the Universe Prodigy list would not be Ling Yue's match. As long as she did not encounter a regional king-level demon genius, Ling Yue should be able to protect herself. Lu Ming planned to hunt a wave of demons here. After all the demon geniuses in this area had gathered around the regional king. This saved him the trouble of searching. After chatting with the youth of the Battle Saint tribe for a while, Lu Ming flew and landed on an empty rock. He sat down cross-legged and waited. The demons are attacking. Lu Ming had not sat down for long when a loud roar suddenly sounded. Boom! 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 The geniuses of the heavenly palace on the rock all stood up and released a powerful aura, preparing for a great battle. As expected, they are here. It's been 6 days. These demons want to fight with us. Today is the 7th day. They think we are afraid of them. Today, we will kill them all. Kill all the demons. The geniuses of the heavenly palace roared, their battle intent high. They were afraid of the regional king, but the regional king was blocked by Luo Tian, so they were not afraid. Lu Ming stood on a rock and looked into the distance. In the distance, a large group of demons flew over. These demons spread their wings, and their baleful aura soared into the sky. Their roars were like thunder as they rushed over. Kill all the bastards of the heavenly palace. The demon geniuses roared. Among them, one of the demons attracted Lu Ming's attention. This abyssal was covered in green scales, but his right arm was fiery red. There were sinister bone spikes on his arm. Luo Tian, come out and fight. Today, I will kill you. The red demon on his right arm roared, his killing intent surging. This was the regional king of the demons. His name was Sadao. Amitabha. Since Benefactor wants to go on your way, this poor monk will fulfill your wish. Luo Tian stepped on the air, and the Buddhist light became even stronger. With every step he took, a golden lotus would appear under his feet. His speed was very fast, and in a few steps, he was close to Sadao. A Buddhist chant rang out, and a huge golden Buddha statue appeared in the sky. It slammed its palm down on Sadao. Chapter 4079. The Buddha statue was tens of thousands of zhong tall. Its golden hand looked like a small mountain as it moved towards Sadao. That move again. Can't you do something else? Break. Sadao smiled ferociously and rose up in the air. His red right arm punched the air. Boom. An earth-shattering sound spread in the air. The golden hand exploded. Not only that, but the gigantic Buddha statue also exploded and turned into energy. Swoosh. Sadao's demonic wings flapped, and he charged at Luo Tian like a bolt of lightning. His right arm became even redder, and flames spread out, making his entire arm look like it was made of lava. Luo Tian's third eye was shining. A golden light appeared. It was a pure Buddhist light. It was Luo Tian's original secret skill. Luo Tian's original secret skill had already severed 6 shackles. That was terrifying. Very few cultivators of the 5th godly emperor layer could sever 6 shackles. The shackles of an original secret skill were extremely difficult to sever. Each shackle was like an insurmountable chasm. However, each time one was severed, one's strength would increase tremendously. Usually, only godly emperors could sever all 9 shackles of an original secret skill. Pure Buddhist lights surrounded Luo Tian's hands. Luo Tian jumped forwards and punched the air. Boom. Luo Tian's hand collided with Sadao's right arm. It looked like 2 planets had collided. Red and golden lights filled the sky. Rings after rings of terrifying energy rushed out in all directions like waves of water. No one dared to stand still in the surroundings. The 2 of them collided and their silhouettes flickered. They were evenly matched. Then, the 2 men's second move collided. Boom, boom, boom. Both of them were extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they had already exchanged a dozen attacks. It was obvious that they were evenly matched. It was difficult to determine the winner in a short time. Lu Ming glanced at them and understood what was going on. It was similar to what the young man of the Battle Saint tribe had said. Both of them had the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer, but their fighting prowess was comparable to that of the 9th godly emperor layer. However, that was it. It was about the same as the horned demon that Lu Ming had killed before. Kill. Kill. At this time, the demons and the other people of the heavenly palace were also fighting. In an instant, blood spurted out and screams were heard. Some people had already fallen. Die, brat. An ugly demonic youth brandishing a demonic saber fixed his eyes on Lu Ming and charged towards Lu Ming. That ugly demon had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer. To be honest, for a cultivator who was less than 50,000 years old, that was already very good. Without a doubt, this ugly demon was also a monstrous figure. However, in Lu Ming's eyes, it was really not enough. Puff. Lu Ming used the great devil sword art. Swordlight flashed, and that devil genius was cut in two. Lu Ming's figure flashed, and that ugly devil's spirit blood was caught by Lu Ming. Lu Ming took that drop of demon spirit blood and continued to kill the other demons. The result was already decided. None of those demons could withstand one attack from Lu Ming. His demonic sword swept through the air, and Lu Ming killed a demon with each slash. He's that strong. The other Heavenly Palace's young geniuses couldn't help but open their eyes wide in disbelief. When they had seen Lu Ming before, they hadn't paid much attention to him. They had thought that Lu Ming was just an ordinary young genius. They had never thought that Lu Ming would be so strong. He could kill those demons as easily as cutting vegetables. He was a peerless, monstrous cultivator. The other demons were even more terrified. They didn't dare fight against Lu Ming. When they saw Lu Ming, they all retreated. This scene also attracted the attention of the two kings of the other two regions. But little brat, wait until I get rid of that bald guy, then I'll kill you. Sadao shouted angrily. His eyes were as sharp as knives. He couldn't wait to cut Lu Ming into pieces. Your opponent is me. Buddha's light illumination, Luo Tian shouted. The Buddhist light that filled the sky turned into different weapons and smashed down on Sadao from all directions. Luo Tian was delighted to see Lu Ming's strength. As long as Lu Ming got rid of the other demons, the Heavenly Palace's young geniuses would be able to attack Sadao together. They might be able to kill Sadao in one blow. He was very surprised by Lu Ming's behavior. Do you think I have nothing better to do than challenge you every day? 7 days are up. Die. 7 deadly fire poison, explode. Sadao attacked a few times. Then, his right arm shook violently. A mysterious force spread out. At that moment, Luo Tian's body shook violently. Then, red lines appeared on Luo Tian's body. A disgusting smell was emitted from his body. Puff. Luo Tian spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura weakened rapidly. Poison. When did you poison me? Luo Tian shouted in shock. He kept releasing Buddha's light in an attempt to purify the poison. However, it was useless. The effect was minimal. With your strength, it's difficult to use a poison to kill you. My poison didn't have any signs. During the fight, it seeped into your body bit by bit. I have fought you every day for the past 7 days. After 7 days, the 7 deadly fire poison has finally succeeded. Sadao sneered. Luo Tian's face was pale. He finally understood why Sadao had challenged him every day for the past 7 days. Initially, he didn't think too much about it. After all, they were mortal enemies. It was normal for demons to challenge them every day. Who would have thought that Sabao would secretly poison him when they were fighting? Moreover, this poison needed 7 days to take effect. Die. Sadao's eyes were ferocious. He punched Luo Tian's chest. Luo Tian screamed in pain. His body flew out and broke dozens of huge rocks. Luo Tian was still alive. He had the physical body of a pure Buddha and was known to be immortal. Even so, Luo Tian was severely injured. His chest was almost pierced through. His heart was crushed. His aura was extremely weak. What's going on? At that moment, the elites of the Heavenly Palace turned pale. Luo Tian and Sa Dao were locked in a fight. However, he had been defeated in an instant. All of this happened too suddenly. Most importantly, now that Luo Tian had been defeated, who else could compete with Sa Dao? Mu Yun. Although Mu Yun was strong, his combat strength was still lacking compared to regional kings like Sa Dao and Luo Tian. It's over. The elites of the Heavenly Palace felt a chill down their spines. They didn't expect the situation to change so quickly. Great. Ha ha ha, great. In contrast to the people of the Heavenly Palace, the remaining elites of the evil demons were ecstatic. Baldy, I won't kill you for now. I want to show you how I'm going to kill all the people of the Heavenly Palace, Sa Dao said coldly. Then, his figure flashed and rushed toward Lu Ming. Chapter 4080. Sa Dao threw himself at Lu Ming. His right arm was as red as fire, as if it was made of lava. He hadn't even arrived yet, but his qi was already moving towards Lu Ming. Even ordinary cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer wouldn't be able to withstand that qi. However, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. There was even a hint of anticipation. This was because another drop of evil demon spirit blood was about to be obtained. Die. When Sa Dao saw that Lu Ming wasn't dodging, he looked ferocious. His right arm was red as he threw a punch at Lu Ming. In the process of punching out, his fist actually grew rapidly. It was like a small mountain as it blasted toward Lu Ming. The terrifying aura made the other elites of the Heavenly Palace turn pale with fright. Mu Yun, move back, shouted someone furiously. The rest of the people sighed in their hearts. They felt that Lu Ming would be seriously injured even if he did not die from this punch. Many people started getting ready to run away. At that moment, Lu Ming also threw a punch. His fist was no different from an ordinary fist, except that it was emitting a dazzling light. Boom! Their fists heavily collided. In an instant, the void shook violently. Rings of energy ripples swept out in all directions. What happened next was beyond everybody's expectations. Lu Ming was standing in the sky, motionless. He was as steady as a mountain. Everybody thought that Lu Ming would be blown away, or even explode, but that didn't happen. Lu Ming did not move at all. On the contrary, Sa Dao trembled and retreated a few steps. How? How is that possible? Everybody's eyes were wide open, including Luo Tian, who was seriously injured. Lu Ming had surprisingly pushed Sa Dao back with one punch. Even Luo Tian hadn't been able to do that. How strong? Prince Yuan Wen said that Mu Yun wasn't weaker than him at the same level. It seems like it's true. Mu Yun has the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, his 5 levels stronger than him. The thoughts of the young man from the Battle Saint tribe spun rapidly as a look of admiration appeared on his face. Brat, you, Sa Dao himself was also very shocked. Lu Ming's cultivation was 1 level lower than his, but when they had exchanged blows just now, he had felt that Lu Ming's strength was simply endless, filled with an aura of destruction. His arm went numb, as if it was about to shatter. Your strength is only SOSO. Now, it's my turn, Lu Ming said indifferently. All the cells in his body trembled, and his body emitted a dazzling glow. This was the manifestation of his strength being stimulated to the peak. With a swoosh, Lu Ming's figure disappeared from the spot. The next moment, he appeared in front of Sa Dao and punched out continuously. Boom boom boom, the void shook violently. Dozens of fist forces pressed down on Sa Dao like toppling mountains and overturning seas. The terrifying aura caused Sa Dao's muscles to tense up. A chill rose from the bottom of his heart. He actually felt his scalp go numb. I don't believe that even if he can fight someone 5 levels stronger than him, he won't be able to suppress me. Explode! Sa Dao roared. His fiery red right arm became even thicker. Mysterious runes appeared on it, and the aura it emitted was even more terrifying. At the same time, he punched out with his right arm, and in an instant, he punched out dozens of times, colliding with Lu Ming's punches. A series of explosions resounded, dazzling the eyes and deafening the ears. The other demons and the geniuses of the heavenly palace couldn't see the battle clearly. Who would win? Everyone's heart was pounding because the outcome of the battle would determine the life and death of both sides. But in the next moment, they knew the answer. In the midst of the explosions, a silhouette was pushed back, smashing a few huge rocks. It was Sadao. He was now in a very miserable state. There were several fist marks on his body, especially his fiery red arm, which was covered in cracks. Sadao spat out mouthfuls of blood, and his chi was extremely weak. He looked at Lu Ming with fear in his eyes. Then, he turned around and ran away, not daring to fight again. However, he had been severely injured by Lu Ming in the process of fighting with Lu Ming. Even his strongest right arm was almost broken, and he couldn't exert any strength at all. How could he get away from Lu Ming? Lu Ming was wrapped in the divine wind, and in a few flashes, he caught up with Sadao. Let's die together. Seeing that he couldn't escape, Sadao went crazy. His arm, which was full of cracks, emitted a dazzling red light, and a terrifying chi was released, like a volcano that was about to erupt. Sadao was going to self-destruct his red right arm. This red right arm was the foundation of Sadao's survival. He was born with it, and after some cultivation, its power was boundless, just like the horn of the horned demon from before. This kind of innate power was extraordinary. Once it self-destructed, the power would be earth-shattering. Sadao knew that he couldn't escape, so he planned to self-destruct his right arm and die with Lu Ming. But how could Lu Ming let him do as he wished? Great binding art! Lu Ming shouted softly and pressed with both hands. Wang! An invisible force suddenly appeared around Sadao. This force was like a python, tightly binding Sadao. At the same time, there were sharp thorns on this python that pierced into Sadao's body, trying to bind his physical body and demonic aura. 3,000 ancient secret techniques, great binding art. This was something that Lu Ming had exchanged for from the Merit Exchange Hall. In the Blessings Tower, he had already cultivated it to the greater success stage, and had yet to use it in a battle. It was just right to use it now. After being hit by the great binding art, Sadao's body suddenly stiffened. Kill. A cold voice sounded. Lu Ming's body flashed, and a demonic sword soared into the sky, disappearing in a flash. Then, Sadao's head flew high into the sky. Another demon prodigy comparable to a candidate on the universe prodigy list was killed by Lu Ming. With a grab of his palm, Lu Ming grabbed Sadao's demon spirit blood in his hand. Sadao's demon spirit blood was also extraordinary. It wasn't any weaker than the demon spirit blood of the horned demon youth. Lu Ming took out a new jade bottle and stored this drop of demon spirit blood. That's it. The surrounding people were still in a daze. This demon prodigy who had fought with Luo Tian for 7 days and defeated Luo Tian with poison had been killed so easily. They felt like they were in a dream. Let's go. The remaining demons roared and turned to escape. At this time, the prodigies from the heavenly palace woke up. Don't let them escape. Kill. The prodigies from the heavenly palace roared and charged towards the demon prodigies. Naturally, they wouldn't let go of a chance to beat a drowning dog. Lu Ming also rushed out to hunt the demons. Chapter 4081. Lu Ming had already killed some of the demons, so there weren't many left. Now that they were being chased by Lu Ming and the geniuses of the heavenly palace, the outcome of these demons was already destined. Not a single one of the remaining demons managed to escape. In the end, they all died at the hands of Lu Ming and the others. More than half of them died at the hands of Lu Ming. There was no other way. Lu Ming's speed was too fast, and his battle strength was too strong. The demons were no match for him, so of course they would be killed quickly. All the geniuses of the heavenly palace revealed smiles on their faces. This battle could be said to be a complete victory. Nearly 100 demons had been killed here. One had to know that the total number of demons participating in the battle was only about 4,000. Now that over 100 of them had been killed in an instant, this was an important victory, especially since there was a top monster like Sadao among them. This battle could even affect the overall situation. In this competition, They and the demons would not rest until one of them was dead. It was either you die or I die. They were naturally happy to be able to kill so many demons in one go. These people expressed their gratitude to Lu Ming. Luo Tian also flew over, barely stabilizing his injuries, and thanked Lu Ming. You're welcome. This time, our common enemy is the demons. When I see the demons, I naturally have to take action, Lu Ming said with a smile. Right. With that, Lu Ming's tone changed. Then, he waved his hand and used the taboo power to carve a strange pattern in the air. This pattern was the pattern that he and Ling Yue had agreed on. Furthermore, the patterns on the two of them were different. This was to make it easier to identify them. According to this pattern, they knew the other party's movements. Everyone, I would like to ask, have you seen this pattern in the vicinity? Lu Ming asked. Everyone looked carefully and many shook their heads. I've seen this pattern before. It was carved on some rocks. Luo Tian looked at it and nodded. Lu Ming was overjoyed and said, Master Luo Tian, where have you seen this pattern? It's in the west, about 500,000 li away from here. It's in a stretch of protruding rocks. Luo Tian explained the location in detail. Lu Ming noted it down carefully. After that, he bid farewell and prepared to leave. Anyway, almost all the demons in this area had been killed. The people in the Heavenly Palace were not in danger for the time being, so there was no need for him to stay. Luo Tian and the others immediately urged Lu Ming to stay. They wanted to move together with him, but Lu Ming refused. Among these people, only Luo Tian's strength was not bad and could be of help to him. The rest of them were too ordinary, and Lu Ming did not want to bring a bunch of burdens with him. It was easier for him to act alone. After bidding farewell, Lu Ming headed west alone. On this temporary planet, their speed was greatly suppressed. A distance of more than 500,000 kilometers could be covered in the blink of an eye in the primitive universe, but here, it would still take some time. A day later, Lu Ming finally arrived at this area and saw a large number of protruding rocks. Lu Ming spread out his spirit sense and began to search. Not long after, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. His figure flashed and appeared above a rock. There was a pattern on this rock. That's right, this was indeed carved by Ling Yue. Others couldn't understand it and only thought that it was a simple pattern, but Lu Ming could see where Ling Yue was going. After taking a look at the pattern, Lu Ming's figure flashed and he continued to head west. After a period of time, Lu Ming saw another pattern. After identifying it, Lu Ming continued forward. Just like that, 3 days passed. In these 3 days, Lu Ming would occasionally meet the geniuses of the Heavenly Palace or the demons, but the further he went, the fewer geniuses of the Heavenly Palace or the demons he met. In the last day, he didn't meet a single genius of the Heavenly Palace or the demons. What's going on? Could it be that the geniuses of the Heavenly Palace and the demons in this area have all left? Lu Ming frowned as he pondered. Moreover, the pattern left behind by Ling Yue had been broken since half a day ago. It was inexplicably cut off. He searched for a long time, but still couldn't find the next pattern. What's going on? Did Ling Yue suddenly encounter danger? Lu Ming revealed a trace of worry. This could only be the case. Otherwise, she would definitely continue to carve the pattern. Only when she suddenly encountered danger and didn't have time to carve the pattern would the pattern be broken. Moreover, in this area, Lu Ming didn't meet a single Heavenly Palace or demon, which was even more strange. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and continued to search towards the west. Just as Lu Ming passed by a canyon, suddenly, there was a burst of demonic qi in the canyon. Figures rushed out of the canyon and surrounded Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. It was the demons. There were more than a dozen demons, all staring at Lu Ming ferociously. It's the people of the Heavenly Palace. There are indeed fish that escaped the net. A boy of the 4th godly emperor layer, not bad, he can be considered a big fish. Kill him first. More than a dozen demons roared, and then rushed towards Lu Ming together. These demons were quite strong, and there was even a 5th godly emperor layer demon genius among them. However, there was no one like Sa Dao, so Lu Ming didn't care at all. Just in time, Lu Ming's eyes flashed with cold light, and the great godly wind technique and the great demon sword technique were used together. Suddenly, sword chi rushed forward, and blood spurted out, and one demon after another was killed. No matter what cultivation level, in the hands of Lu Ming, the end was the same, that was, killed by a sword. Run. This guy is too terrifying, he deserves to die. The remaining demons were terrified and turned around, wanting to run away. But how could Lu Ming let them run away? After a few seconds, the 3 demons collapsed on the ground, severely injured. As for the other demons, they had been killed by Lu Ming. Let me ask you, what's going on with this area? Why don't I see the people of the Heavenly Palace? Lu Ming asked coldly. If you want to kill us, then kill us. Don't think you can get any information from us, shouted a demon furiously. Is that so? Then I'll send you on your way, said Lu Ming coldly. He flicked his finger and a beam of strength shot out and pierced through the demon's third eye, killing him instantly. Now, which one of you will tell me? Asked Lu Ming. He, if you want to kill us, then kill us. If we tell you, we'll die anyway. Indeed. Even though the 2 demons were terrified, they still shook their heads resolutely. They knew very well in their hearts that this competition between the Heavenly Palace and the Abyss Devils was nothing more than a fight to the death. Only when one side was completely defeated would it end. As for 80% of the people surrendering, that was almost impossible. If they surrendered and left, the Demon King wouldn't let them off. Therefore, they knew that even if they told him, Lu Ming wouldn't let them off. Chapter 4082. The 2 evil demons were very stubborn and would rather die than say anything. In the end, Lu Ming had no choice but to kill the 2 evil demons and take away their evil demon spirit blood. However, Lu Ming was even more certain that something must have happened in this area. Lu Ming was just about to leave, but he immediately stopped. This was because he suddenly felt a terrifying sense of danger coming from all directions. Yes, it was coming from all directions. He actually couldn't determine where this sense of danger was coming from. This sense of crisis made the muscles all over Lu Ming's body tense up and the hair all over his body stood on end automatically. It was definitely a terrifying enemy that could make him feel this way. A terrifying enemy had appeared in the vicinity. Where is it? Lu Ming's mind was highly focused and his spiritual sense spread out in a large area, watching all the slight movements in the surroundings. Rumble. Suddenly, Lu Ming's ears twitched. He heard a rumbling sound. Although it was very subtle, his spiritual senses were very sharp. Moreover, he had cultivated more than 10 kinds of secret skills related to his ears. Therefore, he was able to accurately capture the sound. Underground. Swish. Without hesitation, Lu Ming's figure rushed into the sky. The moment Lu Ming rushed up, a demon claw grabbed out from the ground. Gravel splashed as the demon claw grabbed at Lu Ming. However, it was a step too late. The demon claw grabbed Lu Ming's feet, bringing a terrible gust of wind. Your reaction is quite fast, but do you think you can escape from my hands? A cruel and tyrannical voice sounded. Then, the ground exploded with a bang. A tall demon figure rushed out from the ground. Lu Ming looked down and swept his gaze over. His pupils shrank slightly. This was an evil demon. However, this evil demon was very different from the ones Lu Ming had encountered before. This evil demon was extremely tall and burly, at least 10 meters tall. His entire body was filled with bulging muscles and bone spurs protruded from his body. His pair of demon claws were huge and ferocious, and his nails were as sharp as knives. Bam! The demon stomped his feet on the ground and his burly body soared into the sky, bringing along a violent force. His speed was so fast that it was shocking. In the blink of an eye, he appeared above Lu Ming's head and stomped down on Lu Ming. That kind of speed was as fast as teleportation. Boom! In an instant, Lu Ming had already activated the battle essence, which increased his combat power by 6 times. He activated the Great Divine Wind technique and the Great Shattering technique and blasted an upward punch. His fist collided with the foot of the burly demon. What a terrifying strength! At the moment of collision, Lu Ming felt his whole body tremble. It was as if he had been hit by a huge high-level planet. His body was like a cannonball, falling toward the ground. There was a loud bang and Lu Ming's body landed heavily on the ground, creating a huge pit. Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood, feeling numb all over. He has the strength of the 6th godly emperor layer. He can fight cultivators 4 levels higher than him. That's what Lu Ming thought. Yes, the demon was astonishingly powerful. His cultivation level was too high. He had reached the 6th godly emperor layer. His combat capability was 4 levels higher than Lu Ming's. His combat capability was much higher than Lu Ming's. Not bad, not bad. You received one of my attacks and didn't die. It seems like you're one of the strongest cultivators in the Heavenly Palace. Very good. Killing you will be a great loss for the Heavenly Palace, said the burly evil demon ferociously. He flapped his wings and turned into a gust of wind. He then charged towards Lu Ming. His gigantic demon claws tore through the air and moved towards Lu Ming. Fast, just as fast. Lu Ming shouted. All his cells shook at the same time. He used all his secret techniques. They turned into dazzling lights. Lu Ming looked like a celestial being. Boom. Lu Ming used all his strength and threw a punch. That punch collided with the burly evil demon's claws. There was an earth-shattering roar. Lu Ming's body shook violently. Once again, his body was like a meteorite, crashing toward the ground. Lu Ming's feet landed on the ground and his entire body bent down. However, he did not dare to stop. He exerted force in his legs and his body moved sideways. Boom. The burly evil demon landed on the place where Lu Ming had been a moment before. That evil demon's feet were also covered with sharp claws and bones. They were terrifyingly strong. A gigantic crater appeared in the ground. Violent energy swept out. Lu Ming had to strike with his palm to break the energy. You're strong, but not enough, shouted the burly evil demon. He flapped his gigantic wings and charged towards Lu Ming. His claws kept clawing at Lu Ming. Lu Ming used all his strength to resist. Both of his fists were constantly bombarded. Every punch was filled with his strength. At the same time, the great evil sword art was also activated. It turned into evil swords and slashed towards the opponent. Both of them attacked at a very fast speed. Both of them were terrifyingly strong. However, even if Lu Ming pushed his battle strength to the peak, he was still not the opponent of this evil demon. Lu Ming pushed his battle strength to the peak, but he could only kill an opponent who was 5.5 levels higher than him. He was still half a level lower than the opponent. In the Divine Emperor realm, half a level difference was enough to crush the opponent. Just like how Lu Ming dealt with the one-horned evil demon and Sa Dao. It wouldn't be too difficult for this evil demon to deal with Lu Ming. In an instant, both of them exchanged more than 10 moves. Puff. Lu Ming's body was still caught by the evil demon's claws. A large piece of flesh was torn off. The violent chi blasted Lu Ming thousands of miles away. God knows how many huge rocks were smashed. Lu Ming vomited a mouthful of blood. His body was almost torn into 2. The potential in each of his cells was crazily stimulated. It constantly emerged and turned into Lu Ming's strength. His body was recovering rapidly. If it wasn't for his tenacious vitality, that move would have taken away half of his life. Whoosh. The burly evil demon attacked again. Obviously, he didn't want to give Lu Ming a chance to breathe. In fact, he was also unable to calm down. Lu Ming's battle strength had shocked him. If Lu Ming broke through another level, the one who would be crushed would not be Lu Ming, but him. Therefore, he wanted to kill Lu Ming in one go. Come on, come on. Lu Ming's eyes revealed a crazed look. He didn't retreat and counterattacked. He rushed towards the burly evil demon. Great Binding Art. Lu Ming used the Great Binding Art. An invisible force entangled the burly evil demon like a python. Sharp thorn-like chi pierced the evil demon's body. It wanted to bind his body and evil demon chi. Open for me. The burly abyss devil laughed wildly. His originally burly body became even more burly. With a boom, the invisible force that wrapped around his body was directly pushed away. Chapter 4083. The strength of the burly demon was very amazing. He actually forcibly broke free from the shackles of the great binding technique. His huge demon claws continuously grabbed at Lu Ming. After Lu Ming used the great binding technique, he mobilized all his strength and launched his strongest attack, which just happened to collide with the demon claws of the burly demon. Continuous roars sounded, and the two exchanged more than 10 moves in an instant. Lu Ming felt his arms go numb, and his bones groaned as he was unable to support himself. His figure retreated again. In the end, there was still a big gap in strength. Even with the great binding technique, it was difficult to make up for it. Although the great binding technique was mysterious, it also needed the support of cultivation. His cultivation was still a little low, and it was difficult to exert the full power of the great binding technique. He could not trap the burly demon. What other moves do you have? Use them all. I will let you feel despair. The burly demon's eyes became even more ferocious. His figure did not stop. When Lu Ming retreated, he continued to attack Lu Ming. His sharp demon claws grabbed at Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming waved his fist to block, but the burly demon's other demon claw changed direction and grabbed at Lu Ming from below. Puff! Lu Ming was caught again. 3 ribs flew out, and his flesh and blood splattered. His injury was even more serious. Fortunately, this was Lu Ming. If it had been someone else, they would have been killed under the circumstances where there was such a huge difference in their abilities. Just like the Horned Demon and Saber before, when facing Lu Ming, they did not last long and were killed by Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's vitality was too tenacious. After resisting so many moves, he was still not killed. Go! The moment Lu Ming retreated, the Great God Wind technique was fully operated. His figure was like a bolt of lightning, and he retreated. He understood that he was not the opponent's opponent. If he continued to fight, there was no chance of winning. Why should he continue to fight? Want to escape? In my hands, this is wishful thinking. The burly demon sneered. His demon wings flapped rapidly. His body was more than 10 meters tall, but his speed was astonishing. After Lu Ming was injured, his speed was not as fast as the burly demon. The distance between the two sides was closing again. Die! The burly demon launched a storm-like attack. His demon claws clawed out dozens of times in an instant, leaving claw marks everywhere in the air. But at this moment, there was a violent sound from Lu Ming's side. Then, an emerald green arrow suddenly appeared and shot at the burly demon's forehead. Fast, astonishingly fast, and the power was also astonishingly strong. In the face of this arrow, even the burly demon didn't dare to be careless. A sense of crisis arose in his heart. He had no choice but to stop attacking Lu Ming. His demonic claws suddenly grabbed backward. Clang! The sharp demonic claws grabbed the emerald green arrow, causing the sound of metal clashing and sparks to fly in all directions. Wang! The emerald green arrow kept shaking and finally collapsed. However, the burly demon's attack was also blocked. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming quickly distanced himself from the burly demon. Mu Yun, follow me. Not far away, a graceful figure appeared. If it wasn't Ling Yue, who could it be? Lu Ming was incomparably surprised. He didn't expect that Ling Yue would suddenly appear when he couldn't find her after spending so much effort. Moreover, he discovered that Ling Yue's cultivation had broken through. Before entering this temporary planet, Ling Yue's battle strength was at the peak of the 4th layer of the God Emperor realm. Now, Ling Yue had reached the 5th layer of the God Emperor realm. After Ling Yue obtained the opportunity of the Holy Seed Mother Tree, she completed the transformation. Her talent and battle strength had both increased by a lot. In a battle of the same level, Ling Yue's battle strength was stronger than the ordinary candidates of the Universe Prodigy list. Lu Ming estimated that if Ling Yue went all out, she could fight across 4.5 levels. The full strength of Ling Yue, who was at the 5th layer of the God Emperor realm, was not weaker than his full strength. That was why the arrow just now had forced the burly demon to block it. If it was before she broke through, it would definitely be impossible. At this moment, there was no time to think. Lu Ming's figure flashed as he rushed towards Ling Yue. Follow me, Ling Yue said as she brought Lu Ming and rushed in a certain direction. You want to leave? Both of you, stay behind. The burly 10,000 devils roared and chased after Lu Ming and Ling Yue. The burly demon's speed was extremely fast, quickly closing the distance between him and Lu Ming and the others. Swoosh! When the distance between the two sides was about to close, Ling Yue turned around and shot an arrow. What she was using now was naturally not the Elven King bow that was stained with blood, because it was suppressed here and could not be used. What she was using was her origin secret technique. The arrow pierced through the air like a ray of light, shooting towards the burly demon's forehead. Facing Ling Yue's attack, the burly demon had no choice but to block it. Although Ling Yue's battle prowess was still lacking compared to his, he couldn't directly ignore it. He waved his hand to block, blocking Ling Yue's arrow. However, his figure was still blocked for a moment and his speed slowed down. As for Lu Ming and Ling Yue, they took the opportunity to open up a distance between them. As for Lu Ming, he took the opportunity to recover with all his might. Every cell in his body was trembling slightly. The potential in every cell was constantly gushing out, repairing his injuries. His body, which had been badly damaged, was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even the burly abyss demon was shocked. This monster, the burly abyss demon, roared in his heart, and became even more determined to kill Lu Ming. He chased after Lu Ming and Ling Yue even more crazily, but when the distance between them closed again, Ling Yue turned around and shot another arrow. The path of archery was best at long-range attacks. If it was anyone else, at such a distance, the power of their attacks would definitely be greatly weakened. However, Ling Yue's arrows were able to maintain their peak power. This was the advantage of a long-range attacker. After being blocked by Ling Yue's arrow, Lu Ming and Ling Yue took the opportunity to widen the distance between them. Just like this, they flew for a long distance, one chasing the other. After a period of time, Lu Ming's injuries were much better, and he wasn't far from returning to his peak state. At this moment, a forest appeared in front of them. Yes, it really was a forest. Lu Ming was extremely surprised. This was because this temporary planet was created by the master-level experts on both sides who had temporarily grabbed the rocks on the ground of the Dark Universe to refine it. This place was filled with bare rocks. How could there be a forest? Previously, Lu Ming hadn't seen a single blade of grass. Enter the forest. When Ling Yue saw the forest, her eyes lit up and she sent a sound transmission to Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not doubt him. Together with Ling Yue, he rushed into the forest. Just as they rushed into the forest, the burly abyss demon also rushed into the forest. However, when the burly abyss demon rushed into the forest, there were no traces of Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Instead, the trees in all directions came to life and charged towards the burly abyss demon. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.